Hey, I'm Tom. It is July 13th, 2025, and I am now 49 years and 30 days old. When people talk to me about getting tattoos, a lot of times they say the same thing. They say, I want to get a tattoo, but I can't think of what to get. Generally, I think that means you're not going to get a tattoo because it's pretty rare that someone will have a really great idea for a tattoo and then get it as their first tattoo. That might be different now. Maybe with the popularization of tattooing and the way it's become fairly common, maybe more people now have a very tasteful, possibly boring tattoo as their first tattoo. In the same way that you can have access to like all kinds of ideas about interior decoration. And you probably notice that when you go over to people's houses, a lot of them tend to look the same because all of that's been codified. It's just established what someone's home is supposed to look like. It's established what kind of clothes you're supposed to wear. And it's basically established what your first tattoo should be if you get a tattoo. And I think it's definitely a lot easier now to have like a tasteful tattoo than it would have been even 20 years ago. But I think tasteful tattoos is largely missing the point. And a lot of people have one tattoo, a lot more than you'd think. It's chances are you've never seen it because they'll have gotten that tattoo in a place that's very easy to cover up. And then they never got any more. But not a lot of people have just two tattoos. I think anyone that goes to the trouble of getting two tattoos is probably on their way to 3, 4, 5. And then it tails off a bit because tattoos are expensive and painful. And maybe you don't want to have large parts of your body covered up with ink. But I think like there really is something in just getting something stupid tattooed on yourself. And I say that because it unlocks a kind of cheat code. It's like acknowledging that a lot of this doesn't matter. And one of the reasons I have so many tattoos now is because I wanted to visually express that, but also because I wanted people who maybe had a lot of tattoos and were feeling somewhat constrained by them or maybe a little shy about them to say, well, I mean, things can work out at least this well, however well I'm doing. You can at least get to here. And that's not so bad. I didn't really think about representation until I went to Hawaii for the first time and I saw a ton of, what I would call Eurasians, but obviously they're Hawaiian, but possibly also Eurasian people with who come from mixed race backgrounds, which just isn't something you saw at all when I was growing up. That's certainly more prevalent now, but you didn't see that ever on television. Certainly not Asian mixtures. I think once I hit a certain number of tattoos, I realized I was just gonna keep getting them and getting them in more visible places like my neck and being more forward with that. It does help that I don't know if this is the case anymore, but for a while tattoos were like largely accepted and it seemed like everyone was getting them. I think that has died down a bit now, which is fine. But it was definitely from a place of I want my exterior to reflect my interior, and certainly contextually and socially because of where I've lived. That's not always been a given. That's not always been something that people would expect. And to a certain extent, tattoos are like a short form for some of the things that I feel strongly about. I'm not saying they're like some kind of perfect representation or that people can read them and go, oh, I see, he's into blah, blah, blah. But they definitely give a start. They're like a bit of a starter. And if it seems extreme to, permanently decorate yourself just to get your inside and outside aligning, I think even just by that description, you can see that that's what lots of people do, whether it's cosmetic surgery or becoming really involved in fitness. Clothing is the easiest. This is probably why I change my hair a lot as well, although I've had it long for a while now. It's just because it's really easy and fairly affordable way of getting that to line up more, which is something I've struggled with a lot. Getting to the point where I felt the way I looked was a fairly accurate representation of the person I am and how I feel and how I want to be perceived and how I want to be treated. And so I think the most likely way to get a tattoo is if that is part of why you're doing it. If you're getting one not to necessarily remember anything, although of course that's fine, and not necessarily because you have a really important moment or there was something really serious. And I'm not saying any of these because I don't think they're valid reasons. Any reason can be a valid reason to get a tattoo. You don't need a valid reason to get a tattoo. But more to say, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait until you have that kind of moment. If it would help you if it would help you feel more like the person you are, if it would help you reflect more of the person you are, then I say, get a tattoo.